Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead live fan reactions, week number 2. So we're back on to something. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight. You guys may have noticed that we are talking about this live without World Beyond. I have decided to focus my attention on Fear the Walking Dead, and boy oh boy, did they come back strong in week number 2. So I see some of the hype, some of the conversation out there. Absolutely good to see a good Walking Dead episode. I'm not giving it a 10. I'm sorry. I am going to give it a good score, but I think you're way too generous. If you're talking perfection, this was not very good. It was. We made a strong comeback, but look, if this is the greatest Fears ever done, what are they going to do next week? And I do think it's going to scale up. And I'm going to give you some of my individual thoughts and breakdowns from the show. I want to get open and honest feedback. Let's not get 11, 12s, 13, 14. Let's give it some really honest assessment. And I can't go with a 10, but I will score accordingly. So before we get into tonight's episode, we get the reactions. We'll talk about the good, the bad, the opportunity, and where we really liked it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever. I thought it was good. So let's get to first. Big shout out to the Patreon Army. Hey guys, thank you for everything that you guys do. Appreciate it. You guys see this, the support we have for our channel up there. Whether it's a good show, whether it's a bad show, we always have a lot of support. Our Patreon Army is absolutely awesome. So thank you for everything that you guys do. Just a quick snapshot from tonight's episode. So we'll walk through the. I'm going to start out, and, I saw some people with 9s. I see some people, darn good. Kills, it was great. Kills, I loved it. And then, I'm not saying it wasn't darn good. I'm saying it wasn't a 10. I don't see a 10 out of this. So I am going to ask, you certainly have that as your right. But I'm asking everybody for an open and honest assessment tonight's episode. Last week, I gave it a 7. I did not like last week at all. So go ahead and get your scores up there. And again, there is no such thing as a 10.5. So we're not grading on a curve where if you give something a 10.5, then the 7s come up higher. So everybody, do me a favor. Give me your score from a 1 to a 10. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode. And I will give you my score. I'll explain my score shortly of how I sort of came to that. There were some good parts of it. So certainly we see Amy, Julia coming in at 8. I see Animal at 9. Coma Drug at 7. Samantha 8. Compared to what they've done, grading on that curve. Will's giving it a 10. If it was sheer entertainment for you, I get it. No worries. Chris Rating said 8 last week, 6.5 this week. Sheila Beasley coming in at a 9. So we got anywhere between 6s all the way up to 10. Oh, Kel, she's not holding back. She's throwing down the gloves. She says 5. So we got from a 5 up to a 10. Northside Queen gives it an 8. Cindy Rainey giving it an 8. So remember, last week I came in lower. We got Ridzina 8, Hippo giving it 6.5. So we're all over the place. This is good because some of you loved it. Some saw it as some opportunity. I'm going to come in. I'm going to give it a 7.9. 7.9, slightly under the 8. I'll tell you why. There were some parts of it that I would have said was a 9. There were some parts of it that I struggled with a little bit. But I am starting to see it ramp up. I am starting to get the Fear the Walking Dead vibe. I just don't throw 10s out there. I'm sorry. It just you gotta earn a 10 from me. A 10 to me is I will watch it over and over and over. You got to be like Die Hard to get a 10. You got to be like Hamilton the musical to get a 10. You got to be like a Blackpink song to get a 10. Fear the Walking Dead, you got to, if you want a 10, you got to earn it. Charlie dying would have earned it, but Strand killing Sanjay was a bold move. I'm okay with that. I like the ferocity. The the Daniel thing was predictable, but I like Morgan's demeanor now. So I can give you the good and the bad. Let me say it this way. I had an emotional roller coaster. And I've said this for a year. You guys got me on record of saying this. Raise your hand if you've heard me say Fear the Walking Dead needs to make these characters into badasses. What they did to Morgan last season was a crime. It was an absolute crime. Morgan Jones is dead, and what they're doing with Morgan this year has potential. I use the word potential because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the new Morgan yet, except for all he did was come up and shake Daniel's hand. So the assumption is right now, if you put me in the state of where they finished the show, and you say Morgan looks like he's ready to take care of business, and Daniel looks like he's ready to take care of business, but I got to ask you guys, and here's the problem that I'm going to have, and please help me out with this. And this alone, I think when I throw this out there to you, I think some people are automatically going to cut your score by half a point. When I make this case, if you gave it an 8.5, I got a strong feeling you're going to give it an 8. If you gave it a 9, I think I'm going to get you to go 8.5. I'm not trying to do this. I just think that it is a very, very glaring challenge that we have with Fear the Walking Dead right now. Now, maybe some of you are going to say, nope, I'm not changing my score just to kind of, to be a hard ass or be devil's advocate. But here's why I like something about Fear, and then I have to tone my expectations down a little bit. All right, if you guys are ready. You haven't even heard the argument, Donnie. What the hell, man? Give me a chance. If you guys are ready for this, give me a 999. Donnie's like, he ain't even going to play along. He's like, you know what? It's 8.5. I don't give a shit what you say. It's still going to be an 8.5. I'm leaving it that way. All right. So let me tell you why. All right. And I have the ability to do this. Not bragging, but I do. How many people here think Virginia has done enough to be Alpha, to be Negan, to be the governor, that we finally have that villain on Fear the Walking Dead, that she is that one? Wait, what do you mean no? Hold on now. Why am I getting all these no's? Wait a minute. Nobody? Come on. Okay, then you guys got to be afraid of Virginia, right? Just a little bit. Who here's afraid of Virginia? No? Wait a minute. So nobody here is afraid of Virginia. Okay. Don't you guys think it would have been better to develop the villain in Fear the Walking Dead before we empower all these people that we don't need to take out a weak villain? All right, this is why I'm always going to cut half a point off my score. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. But we've got badass Morgan and we got badass Daniel, but we don't even need them because you don't even have a villain. So as much as I like what they're doing with the heroes, give me somebody that deserves to die, please. And it ain't Virginia. So can we please just send an email to Scott Gimple? I'm not dogging the show this week. I tuned out World Beyond to focus on Fear the Walking Dead because I want to talk about it. I want to be into it. I want that emotion, all of those things. So if you develop the heroes and then later on Virginia starts killing people, but she hasn't done anything yet worthy of that. So all I'm saying is we are a very patient group. Just slow down a little bit, Fear. Make us fear her. Do something terrible. She got a haircut. She got a haircut. That's the worst thing she did tonight. So now, let her get a haircut and take the scissors from Daniel and stab somebody. Now then we got a villain. I mean, Alpha killed somebody for looking at her. Beta killed somebody who said, oh, that's you. You're that guy. And Beta wasn't even a big, Will, come on. We're not going to do this tonight, are we? Okay. We need the group to build up, think they got this, then boom, Jenny knocks them down like Negan did. All right. I get what you're saying. But I don't have confidence. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to do flashbacks to find out who Jenny was? Even these Rangers, I mean, I feel like this city is supposed to be kind of Alexandria. The Ranger, one guy shot somebody from a tower. That was cool. But then the tower guy was gone when Sanjay, Charlie, and Strand ran out. The tower guy was not shooting people at that point. And see, that's the part. This is why the verdict's still out. So 7.9 is where I'm at. Because I wasn't feeling the whole molasses thing. It was trending lower, and at the very end, and let me tell you this, okay? Because I find entertainment for different reasons, okay? Strand killing Sanjay, I thought was good for the show. I thought it showed who Strand was, and he was willing to sacrifice somebody to save the group. So I'm thinking, like, that's a bold move by the writers. Goodbye, Sanjay. We hardly knew you. I mean, I didn't have an attachment to him, so I'm okay with that. But there were a couple things. All right. Group attacked Outpost before they met Negan. Let's compare. If this doesn't get good, it's a TS-20 loaded fear headquarters for you. So, Will, here's here's the case, and I'm okay with making this case. I will make a bet right now. By the end of this season, Jenny will not even be in the same conversation with Negan, Alpha, or the governor. She won't even crack the big three. I don't think there's anything she can do on the show to even crack the big three. And I know it's early, but there is some firepower on Fear the Walking Dead. And look, 7.9 is not a bad score. It's not, I'm not dragging the show through molasses. I personally thought it was better. Some of you thought it was worse. Let me ask this question. How many people thought tonight was better than last week? That the show is scaling up? And how many people thought it was worse? Julia says it's better. Chris says it's worse. Deborah Cox says it was worse tonight. So several people are saying it's worse. So here's my question. Daryl Stoltz says it's a little better tonight, right? So I'm certainly not, I'm not trying to, if you loved it, you love it. And that's okay. I'm trying to understand, other than saying, and I get Will's point, other than saying, hey, for Fear the Walking Dead, it was pretty good. If you thought the episode was a 10, give me in chat right now what made it a 10. And we're going to try something a little bit different. All right, everybody here, I don't care if you gave it a 5, you gave it a 7. Let's do something positive. Everybody here, type in chat something you really liked about tonight's episode. Give me something you really liked. I'm not trying to take any more points. I've stated my case that I think it's a half a point lower because The Walking Dead has never been able to develop a villain. They just haven't. They can't do it. They don't have the ability to do it for some reason. I think we could help them. You guys think we could help them? Simon was your villain. Missed opportunity. All right, lots of Walker death. Bonnie says Alicia seems to be back. I get it. Strand. Ranger that got pulled under the gate. Will, I'm telling you, that's an easy bet. I'm telling you, don't do it, Will. Don't do it. There is nothing historically that you can base it on that Jenny is going to be. All right. Okay, so we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to get to that bet. I'm even going to make it a little bit easier bet. I'm going to. I love it. Strand was good this episode, says Donnie T. Donnie, I agree with you to an extent. I thought he was good until he gave that speech in the road at the end. I was liking what he was doing. I was liking, he told Alicia, I want to be somebody you can look in the eye. And then he cut a deal, and then he exiled everybody because he He's hard to follow. Okay, so here's the bet that I'm going to propose. Will uses the term, by the end of the season, Jenny is going to be a badass. Now, badass is subjective, right? Depends on, like tonight. Some people say it's a 10, some people say it's a 5. I don't think Jenny would have. Okay, let me ask this question as a starting point. Did anybody tonight think Jenny was a badass? So that's our basis right now. So we know the bar's low. All right, so all she's got to do is kill a couple people, and she'll go from being kind of not a badass to being more of a badass. So here's the bet that I'm going to propose, because I do have to have a comparison. In order to hit my standard of badassery, Will, I'm going to say Jenny has to crack the top 4. So by the end of the season, we're going to ask this question to each of you. Jenny has to be a more feared villain than Simon. You've got Negan, the governor, Alpha, and Simon. So if Jenny can just be more feared than Simon, because I got Simon, and let's see if you guys agree with my list. Okay? Does anybody disagree with my top 4? You can disagree with the order. You can say Governor, Negan, Alpha, Simon, but whatever the case may be. But can we all pretty much agree that those are probably the top 4 villains? So, for it really, really to be worthwhile, Will, would that be an adequate wager? That she has to be more feared than one of them? I mean, you got to at least make the top 4. Now, I'm not saying she can't do it. Okay. I mean, she might. I think they went about it the wrong way. My personal opinion. I think tonight, if the episode tonight or last week, Virginia, she needs to do some. She didn't even kill Morgan. I mean, we can go back. She had Logan killed. And she shot Morgan. And I mean, her big line at this point is, I just hate looking at your face. But Will and I have had this conversation. Like, he really thinks that Jenny is going to become dark. And she could. I'm basing my assessment on historical Fear of the Walking Dead, because they've just never been able to do it. So if they do it, it's a win for me, because I would absolutely love at the end of the season. Well, 1, I'm probably going to win the bet. But number 2, if I don't win the bet, can you guys imagine if I'm wrong? Can you imagine how good Fear of the Walking Dead would be if we say Jenny's name in the same token as Negan and Alpha and Simon and the governor? Then it's going to be good. Cindy Rainey said she's like a grade school bully. She talks more than she acts. Certainly, Chris, I thought Simon was up there as well. But again, how many people are optimistic about Fear the rest of the season? That, hey, tonight might not have been great. It might have just been good, and that's okay. I am okay with good because I did not like last week. Now, I see a little sidebar going on between Dimes and Will, so I want to call this one out. So Dimes and Will are doing a comparison of, hey, Jenny's going to be, watch out for Jenny. So give me some fuel here. What is it that you see happening with Jenny? What is it that in that crystal ball makes you feel like she's going to turn the corner? Not it may happen. I mean, what do you kind of see in her? We've seen her eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We've seen her get her hair cut by Daniel. I mean, far be it for me to point this out. She's cold-hearted, Dimes, but she didn't even realize that her barber didn't really have amnesia. She gave Strand a key for killing a whole bunch of walkers. So she certainly trusts quite a bit. She hired a bounty hunter that couldn't get the job done. So she doesn't make I'll say this about her. So far, Jenny has hired a barber and a bounty hunter. She's not the best hiring manager in the world. Can we agree with that? Like, your barber is fooling you. He's been listening in the whole time, waiting for Morgan to show up. And the bounty hunter you hired, he couldn't get the job done. So I'm certainly not going to hire for human resource manager to hire my people for me. Now, next week, she better open a closet door and be screaming at some puppies, because at this point, that's the only thing that's going to make me mad at her. I just can't be mad at her. And, she had the cute haircut. She got a nice smile. I mean, she's just perfect. Nothing evil about Jenny. I love it. Will says she's a lunatic. Look into those eyes. She knows Strand. Jenny isn't Terminus. If Fear the Walking Dead holds true to form, Jenny will be out by the mid-season finale. And I'm not going to bet on that, but we need some villains. She better be a cannibal. That's the only thing. That's the only thing at this point. Well, she said she told Morgan Jones, who's no longer Morgan Jones. Okay, maybe you guys can help me with this. So last week, remember what was the big takeaway from last week? The big takeaway from last week was Jenny. Okay, I got to sort this out. I need you guys to help me sort this out. Is this 2 weeks in a row we've ended the show with a badass Morgan cliffhanger? Right? Like we watch the show and at the very end, it's Morgan. I'm not trying to jinx us because I think the show is improved, but doesn't it kind of feel like what we were doing last year? You guys remember last year when we were very optimistic it was going to get better? So far it does seem like good, and then this, hey, can't wait till next week. So 2 weeks in a row we've seen kind of a big Morgan story. But remember what Jenny said last week on the walkie-talkie. And if you guys don't know, I love Will. I love to argue over Fear of the Walking Dead. And you know what else? At least now, we finally got an episode that is worthy enough to have a debate over. So that's a good thing. Because, in the past, maybe we weren't quite there. But she did say this to Morgan. She said, I don't know if I can do it without it being an alpha voice, but basically it was, I thought I needed you dead for this to work. I just need them to believe that you're dead. But she didn't go back and tell anybody that Morgan was dead. Number one. Number two, Daniel doesn't believe Morgan's dead because Daniel just met Morgan. So I have a little problem with the correlation between last week and this week. Because I thought her big play was going to be come back and make everybody think that Morgan's dead. But no. So if that never gets played upon, then it was kind of filler at the end of the episode. And it's part of the reason why I didn't score high last week. I wasn't afraid of Jenny last week. So let's do this. How about a brand new game? Will, we're going to roll out the Jenny meter. Okay, everybody. Now, this is what I need everybody to do, play along. We're going to have a meter from 1 to 10. 1 being the absolute lowest and 10 being the highest. How much do each of you fear Jenny? All right, type your numbers right now. We're going to have the Jenny Fearometer. Let's see where she ranks on the scale. And what we'll do every week is we'll chart it to see whether we are afraid of her or not. All right, so Dime's going to start with a 7. Watch this. Watch. Everybody else will be a 1 or a 2. Deadly Dimes is already going to be, she's already going to skew the curve. Come on, Dimes. All right, so we got 0, 1, 2, 1, negative. No negatives, no negatives. Jim says she could come over for tea. I would get fashion advice from her. I mean, Daniel cuts hair well. Oh, no, she did. She did. Oh, I thought it was a 0. It was the fear-o-meter. My bad. I thought you were going to start her out low. All right, so Dimes and Will are our two highest right now. They're both at 4. Boom, there you go. Comment of the night, done. Fear off to a good start because there's no hot air balloon. All right, I'm okay with that. Okay, so big shock here that Will and Tammy both give Virginia a 4. See, Will, here's the thing though. If the big picture is out there, I think most are basing it on the inability of fear to ever do it before. And this is why I'm not saying there can't be a big picture, because there can. But if I base it on 5 years worth of history, it's more likely they don't do it with her as opposed to them doing it with her. And I agree, this is her shot. And don't get me wrong, man, I am pulling, with every fiber of my being, I am pulling for Jenny to knock it out of the park. I am pulling for Virginia to be that villain that I have needed on Fear the Walking Dead for 6 years. It wasn't Proctor John. It wasn't Mel the Vulture. Wasn't Logan. But being an average villain is not the same as being somebody that is diabolic. Where's the diabolic nature? And if you guys are right, a couple of you guys are right, if they're setting it up, I think they could have set it up by now. Like, what happened to Skidmark? Now, wait a minute. Now, Will, you've made, I mean, that's almost sacrilege. You've made 3 comparisons so far between Jenny and Negan. Now, hold on. I think we're taking this to a whole different level. How dare you? How dare you speak her name in the same super chat with Negan? Come on, Will. You can't do this. Negan? Hey, I would love to see it. That's a big, big can of worms there. I love it. I love it. All right, what do you guys think? You guys, I want to get some other thoughts. You guys think Will and Dimes are getting through to me tonight? You think by the end of this stream I'm going to lighten up a little bit and say, yeah, I can see it. I mean, maybe. They might be breaking me down gradually. What's up, Eric Beach? Good to see you. Good evening, Army. Fear was awesome. New show sucks. Oh, we're not talking about the new show. Eric, define awesome. Put a score to awesome. All right, let me and if you guys know, these are the reaction videos. I mean, we could certainly go through different scenes. Once again, we've had from a 5 to a Eric 10. You're killing me, man. You're killing me. All right, so let me do this because we did some scores earlier and we talked about some things that we liked. So let's try the opposite because some people did score it a little bit lower tonight. The Jenny meter right now for fear, not acting or not other things. Currently, we got the Jenny meter at about, I would say, a 2 is the average. We had a couple 4s. We had a bunch of 1s. Gemstone said she would invite her over for tea. Right now, there really is no fear of Jenny. So tell me something that you didn't like about tonight's show. How about that? Let's get some reactions or some things that you thought they could have done a little bit better. I mean, I'm curious how Sanjay lived like 5 years in a zombie apocalypse and was still freaking out like he didn't know what a walker was. What do you mean? What's behind there? I've never heard all those growling noises before. You mean it's a walker? Yeah, dude. You've lived for, where have you lived for the last 5-6 years? This didn't just happen today. This has been going on for a long, long time. Animals afraid of the people around Jenny. Not Jenny, but the people around. Fair enough. I thought we were going to be afraid of Logan. And I thought we were going to be afraid of Mel the Vulture. Both, in my opinion, died way too soon and got a real cheesy send-off. Good point. Daryl says 3 Rangers with semi-automatic weapons getting killed and eaten by walkers. Jenny's a pawn. Bigger forces. That would not bode well for Will. Will doesn't think Jenny's a pawn. Will thinks Jenny is actually the queen. And she is the female version of Negan. I hope he's right. So, the roll-up door was the villain tonight. All right. So, I'm just going to be silly for a minute because, as you guys know, number one, I love talking about Fear the Walking Dead. And the best decision that I made during the week was to turn off World Beyond. Because we're talking about the show earlier. The there's nothing negative in giving open and honest criticism. You guys can see we got a couple side bets, but we're going to have a lot of fun with this. But just let me know, and you can do it with a 999. Am I the only person that thought they should have closed both the gates and went around to the side and stabbed the walkers from the side instead of leaving one of the doors open? I mean, I know I'm picking. But first thing that I thought for my own survival was close the second gate and just go around and stab them. That's what they would do at the prison, right? That's what Maggie did. That's what Beth did. That's what Daryl did. Let them go up to the gate and then stab them. And then Charlie would have never been in that situation in the first place. So, okay, well, all right, then I'm not the only person that was thinking that. Now, I know somebody's going to type, yes, but they had to pile the bodies up, and then they would have had to drag. I know. I know there's going to be like a counterpoint. But what they could have done is they could have let the bodies pile up in that trailer, and then they could have taken down the milk carton holders and walked around that way. I thought the pallet shield was cool. All right, Deadly Dimes. Jenny is in charge of several communities, and her people listen to her and fear her. There's a reason, and it isn't her crappy haircut or creepy snideness. So I'm trying to let that sink in, but it's like, I don't know. It feels like water seeping into concrete with me right now. I don't see her people necessarily afraid of her. I see her actually, here, take this badge. Here. I mean, she just promoted Strand. And Will's going to second that. Will's like, I agree with you, Dimes. You got my back, I got yours. All right. But I don't see the fear. I don't see. Do you guys see it? Do you guys see like these people in these communities just cringing whenever Jenny walks by? I mean, it's not like a. See, Ecom, I mean, I think that's the point that I'm trying. Okay, I don't dispute that. So here's Will's point. He says, we haven't seen that yet. You're right, we haven't. Which is why we need to see it. Which is why we probably needed to see it before now. What's the big reveal? What is it that Jenny could do that is going to shock us, surprise us, and make us afraid of her that we haven't seen? See, there's the character development, and then there is our reaction as fans. It's not the second episode. This is like Jenny's probably 7th episode. When did we first get introduced to Jenny? What, like 7 or 8 of last season? too long ago. I I'm cheering for you. I'm hopeful. So let's do kind of a Jenny resume check up to this point. Why was there molasses is the question. Johnny Price wants to know why was there molasses. I'll tell you why there was molasses. Because Fear the Walking Dead is slow as molasses when it comes to developing a villain. If that was not the greatest foreshadowing I've ever seen, but still, I'm giving it a 7.9 for other reasons. Because the molasses. And here's the bigger question. I thought molasses was slow. Probably the most shocking thing of the entire episode was how fast that molasses was rolling out. So molasses is not as slow as we thought. That's basically, last week we saw a newborn baby that looked like it was about 6 months old. And this week we saw molasses. It looked like it was on steroids. Really? Dimes, did you taste that molasses? So you know it had like a certain, what was the density? What percent was molasses and what percent was blood? Dimes is like, Kills, it was moving at exactly 6 miles per hour because it was 65% blood and 35% molasses. Come on, Kills, you should know that. So Donnie T wants to know, Kills, you think Strand will turn on the group? Do we have any idea what Strand is going to do? I mean, here's the question. How many times has Strand in 6 seasons done something that you would never believe any word that came out of his mouth again? And then you say, well, that's what Strand does. I mean, we remember the stadium. Dude was packed up, had stuff in the trunk, was ready to leave. And then, sometimes, the next thing you know, he's drinking with Madison. So he just continues to walk this line. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with Strand's story. I don't have a problem with Strand being who Strand is. I mean, look, for me, this season really hinges on exactly what Will said. It's whether they can develop a villain. If they can do that, I've said it for a year. I mean, come on. I mean, I know we're having like an open and honest debate, but if you've never heard me say it, raise your hand. But I think for the last 2 years, I've probably been at the forefront of everybody screaming, our characters need to be badasses and we need a villain. Those two things need to happen. And it hasn't. Now, I'm optimistic that the characters look like they're turning the corner. B-Dub said a minute ago, looks like Alicia's back. I feel good about that. Daniel, we knew he didn't have amnesia. So Daniel and Morgan having a plan. So, can I ask? All right, I know I'm almost out of silly questions. Can I just ask one more silly question? I promise I'll stop. I won't lower my score from 7.9. Completely hypothetical. But hear me out. Okay. Here it is, Army. How many people think we're going to find out something with Jenny that is going to make us understand maybe she's a little bit more evil than what we thought? Okay. When that happens, how many people in 4 weeks, Will says episode 5, how many people here are going to be surprised when I say, okay, if she was that bad of a villain, why didn't Daniel just stab her in the neck with the scissors when he was standing behind her? Because I am going to say that. I am going to say that everybody that Jenny kills between now and the rest of the show could have been 100% prevented if he would have just stabbed her in the neck when he had the opportunity. Why wait? You can end it right there, Daniel. $7.9. Take her hostage. Tim went from a 10.5 to an 8. No, like I said, if you guys are just tuning in or you're watching the playback and you don't know that, we have fun. We're talking about the show and we give the recap. I mean, it's stuff you're not going to get from Talking Dead. This is what you're going to get from Talking Dead. Strand, is it difficult for people to believe you when you've lied to them over and over? Well, it's just nature of the character and, his good nature. That's what you're going to get from Talking Dead. You're going to get kind of the softball questions to talk about the character. Here, you don't know what you're going to get. You might get, why didn't they kill? Where's skid mark? What does Jenny need to do? So I think that's a great point. And I do think there's a balance. Well, if he's gathering info on how far her power reaches, Will, then she's not going to be a big villain. Because if she's another middleman, which we've seen from Fear the Walking Dead before, I don't think it's going to work. She has to be the end all be all. Because I don't know, the audience just has an appetite for more partial villains. So, another question for the group. And these are great. These are great questions all the way around the board. Who on Fear, and be honest, who on Fear the Walking Dead would Jenny have to kill for you to even care? See, that's a problem, right? Because almost everybody has that sentiment, Alicia or Morgan, and then they're the two stars of your show. Well, she did. She split the whole group up into different areas. She's building an army to grow even further. And he says he'll wait. So, but also, let me remind you that she just ordained Strand to make decisions for her. So she split everybody up, but now Strand is basically saying, hey, what was her name? Janice. Sorry. Just doesn't. Fear the Walking Dead characters, they don't pop in my head like Walking Dead characters. So Janice is on laundry duty, and now Alicia is being sent somewhere else. And that's Strand's call. So I don't even know what he's doing. So highlights. Few things here. All right. The opening scene, can we agree that the wardens were pretty dumb and pretty careless? Any disagreement with that? Chain didn't work. They rolled up the door. Everybody died except Sanjay. I mean, not a single walker. Once a couple people slipped, I probably would have jumped off the little concrete area. All right. So, did anybody feel a little bit tricked that there was no secret weapon in there? Tricked, good writing, or lazy writing? Ha, you're the key. You're the weapon. You're the secret weapon. I've lost a lot of people here and just want to see that you were the person that could do it. Straight. Will says all dictators have a backup plan. Strand is the pawn. So Strand's getting played. So I don't know a great analogy of the secret weapon and they're fighting and then they go in there and there's nothing there and they go through like all this effort for nothing. I think some people felt a little duped, right? You felt a little tricked by it. I mean, I can't think of a good. It maybe hey, you're at a club and hey, you want to go for a ride in my Benz, and then you go out and it's like maybe a regular car with a Mercedes emblem on the front. And it's not really. I don't know. I don't know if there's a good. I don't. I just felt tricked by it. I felt like it was one of those things to get us to tweet and message back and forth and say, hey, what's back there? Is this going to be a nuclear weapon? What's going on? Oh, it's nothing. So I don't know. I just felt kind of like that part of it was not very good. Here's the other thing that how'd you guys feel about Dakota? No, I think what I mean by Dakota was okay, Dakota was not there to trick the group. And this is I'm not trying to confuse anybody because I almost confused myself sort of thinking about what their plan was. All right, see, and that's good. That's good. So Eric says, look at the good. Morgan, Daniel, Strand. Absolutely, absolutely. Here's what I mean by Dakota. She wasn't there to trick anybody. But if she wasn't there, would the plot to get the secret weapon, would Strand have even pushed to clear all the walkers? You see what I'm saying? It's almost like she should have been there to trick them. But she wasn't. She was there by coincidence, which also was the reason they fought to find the secret weapon. So it's almost like an after the fact addition to make the story flow. That's I know it's going to be confusing unless you sort of sort it out with me, but she almost needed to be a traitor to make the story work. Like, I wanted to see Jenny just kind of say, haha, good job. And then they're like, what? You tricked us? So if that would have happened, I thought it would have been cool. But she's good. She snuck away, a la Carl. Nice little Carl throwback there, right? Remember when Carl snuck into the sanctuary? Not quite as dramatic, but, then she's talking about the secret weapon. And then, yeah, let's use it to use it on Jenny. Otherwise, whatever plan. So, yeah, that piece of it. And then one more question for you guys. I know the stream's running a little bit over, but I think it's good conversation, good chat. How many people were fooled by Daniel? You really thought Daniel had amnesia? And you know what? I can't give them, and we are grading this per se, so I can't really ding them on that because that's a hard sell. It's all subjective, and a lot of people are going to play the devil's advocate anyway. They're going to be like, they're immediately going to come out and say, nope, he doesn't have amnesia. It would have been more shocking if he did, I think. So, yeah, that's kind of a tough one to sort of hold against the writers, I think, because anytime you do that, it's very risky. And I didn't dislike where they ended the show. Again, we it is, Casey. I agree with that. It is typical. I mean, how original can you be? What was the point of the molasses? We'll never know. There was no weapon there. So the molasses thing didn't seem very congruent. Being surrounded by walkers in a trailer and being told to put down your weapons. It's like, put down your weapons. Okay. Oh, no. We're going to pick them back up and fight. And then, of course, the Rangers are the ones to die. The ones with the weapons. Yeah, I mean, but again, I didn't hate it. I was entertained by it. I think we're going to continue to build upon it. I think there's going to be good things to talk about it. I mean, don't misunderstand me. It wasn't bad. It's kind of, in order for it to be great, we really need some big things to happen. But the bar was also pretty low last season. But if you ever have somebody in your, you have a relative in your house, or, you have somebody in your car and you don't want them there, all you have to say is, I I didn't bring the right scissors. Would you mind? Would you mind going back and getting them? Now, how many of you would have said, "Hell no! Why don't you go get them yourself, dude? You got 2 feet. I'll sit here watch the horse. You need to get your happy butt up and walk back in there and get your stuff." I think most people would have said that. He's got amnesia. He doesn't have a broken leg. He walks perfectly fine. Doesn't really have amnesia, but you get what I'm saying. And Johnny, I agree. I think season 5 was terrible. That's no new news to everybody. You guys were here all last season, and I think every week, hey, it's going to get better, guys. It's going to get better. I'm not going to sound the alarm just yet. We've ended with 2 episodes with Morgan, foreshadowing to something really, really big. But, the problem we got right now is 2 things. If Morgan goes in next episode and kills Jenny, what did you really accomplish? Right? Jenny's not, and this, I'm going to end it with this because this kind of goes back to my overarching point of what I think we need and the problem from a writer perspective. So Morgan's a badass. We can all agree on that. Can we all agree right now Morgan is ready to plow through some people? You ain't stopping Morgan. See, I'm going to go to kind of Will's point before I close it down. See, I would have rather the bounty hunter been alive for a couple episodes, Jenny kill a few people, and then Morgan become what he is right now when it's time to end the villains. Because the only way this can work is we've already developed Morgan as unstoppable, but he's going to have to be helpless. We're going to have this monster that we created in Morgan who's going to have to watch Jenny kill some people, and it's going to have to take him beyond what we're already seeing. So you can say it's picky if you want, but the bounty hunter to me was wasted, and Jenny has not been fully developed, but yet Morgan and Alicia and Daniel are probably starting to come around the corner. See, Tim, this is why I know I'm going to win the bet. And see, I wasn't going to say that until later. This is why I got Will on the hook. Will says, "Have you read Art of War?" Jenny looks yes. But see, Will, here's the thing. Jenny was getting the keys for somebody else. And I agree absolutely with Tim. I think Jenny, again, is reporting to somebody else. I think those 2 dudes that have the submarine and have the key are at a much, much higher point than Jenny. What do you guys think? You guys agree with that? That those guys look like the real, because why doesn't Jenny get the key for herself? These guys have a submarine. And what kind of tells you that's the direction it might go is A, we haven't seen Jenny as a real villain because maybe she's not. Morgan has the key, and Morgan is right outside Jenny's front door. So the bigger story this season is going to be Morgan, the key, and those guys with the submarine. They're the ones that you got to watch out for. I mean, it's an awfully important key. No doubt about that. That's been 6 years, Casey. I don't know why they just don't want just keep one of them around. Now, I said that was going to be the last point, but I do have to bring up one more point. And Will, I absolutely, I love the questions. I love the banter back and forth. So Will knows he gets a lot of love. Maybe it was just me. And if it was just me, I'll admit it. But I'm not afraid to say it. And I'll ask it as if, well, let me preface it by saying I thought this personally. But how many of you last season thought that Max Headroom, Logan, was going to be the villain? That he was creepy, that he was up to something, and we were going to hear more story, and we're waiting on him to do something. And just wait, because you're going to see it. And it never happened. Will says I did. So Will, is it possible? I know why you're doing this, because I know you want this villain as bad as I do. But it does have a little bit of deja vu feel to it, that Jenny killed Logan, and now we got Jenny, and she's got all these communities, but now we already have the next person out there. All right, and it is 11:35. So the very, very last question that I have: how many people thought last week's episode with the bounty hunter was like a bad episode of Preacher? That's where I'm going to leave you guys, because that's what it felt like for me. It felt like they tried to do something in Preacher, but then they just killed him like right in the same episode as when they started. So on that note, everybody, we're going to leave it. I want to thank you guys. Great reactions, great question and answers. Love all of you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Give us a little open and honest debate. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stay solid on my 7.9. There are things that I'm looking forward to. I do like the potential of the show, so I think it's going to be really good by the end of the season. And with just some of the little simple things that they're doing. Strand is back to being Strand. Daniel, Morgan. I'm always going to be hopeful that we get a better villain, but that's just me and that's just the show. But it was good enough. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, everybody, have a good night, and I will see you for a little bit of Play Dead Live tomorrow night at 9 for some great PvP. And if not, we'll see you guys later on the week. Have a good night, everybody. Peace. And by the way, if you guys don't know, Play Dead Live, anybody want to see a dance video from Play Dead Live, even if you're a Walking Dead fan? How about a brand new sneak peek before we go? If we get enough of the Walking Dead fans that don't play Dead Live to give me a quick yes, we've got Will, we got Father Ron, we got Kel, we got Amanda, we got Busy Bee, and we got a lot of clips of what we do on Friday nights. And I know some of you guys don't play, but you watch the playback, so I appreciate you guys as well. But let me end it with this is an awesome song. Just want to give a shout out to Ashley Jana, incredible performer. So we've got a couple of her songs in our video that we've added rights to. So here you go, everybody. This is just a little bit of our grave dance video. And leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. And I'll check you guys later. Here we go.
Let you go as now. Wow, I'm so low. This old school game, it just might be the way to make you be my man. Yeah, that can't you see that you and me could be happy? So won't you spin the bottle, spin it right around, but ain't it saucy now? Yeah, why don't you come and spin the bottle? Push it 1, 2, 3, so it will wanna be. I just want to be your supermodel, be a supermodel, be a supermodel. I just want to be your supermodel, be a supermodel, be a supermodel. So spin the bottle.